Hello and welcome to day 58 of the 90-day Breakthrough Challenge. My name is Dr. Mogire. Today is breakthrough meeting number 9. So we are essentially starting March, but we are starting it towards, starting April, we are starting it towards the end of March. What we are going to speak about today is extremely important. This is going to be the end of quarter 1. In another 2 days, we'll be done with quarter 1. Are you ready to step into quarter 2 with a new energy? Are you already beginning to give up on 2024? Or do you still feel that this is merely the beginning? That quarter 2 is still fresh, waiting for you, quarter 3 and quarter 4, which means regardless of how you might have stumbled in quarter 1, what you pick from quarter 1 prepares you to take advantage of quarter 2 with as much urgency and determination as possible. So my challenge to you, my challenge to myself is, can we use the next month, which is the first month of quarter 2, as the foundation upon which we really go in and work hard at making as many shifts in our mindset as possible? That's what we will try to do together, to take the next month and utilize it as a foundation for transforming not only quarter 2, turning around 2024. We had January, February, and now March to really get ready and keep laying the ground. But now it's time to go in, go all in. When you think about your mindset, and this is a big one, and it has many ways that people look at it. When you think about your mindset, what is your natural bend? What is your natural inclination? What direction do you seem to bend towards when it comes to time? Is your mindset more geared towards looking at the past or looking at the future? Or is it looking at present? Is your mindset geared mostly towards what you did or what you could have done? Is it geared towards what you will do or what you want to avoid doing? And these are generic questions, but these are the questions that we have to start with, particularly when it comes to time. When you think about the past, what comes to you more easily? Is it the victories or the slip-ups? Is it the mistakes or is it the lessons? And the power of mindset is that mindset controls everything else. And unfortunately, it's not one of the subjects that we necessarily learn from a young age, but we can always take control of our mindset so that we can begin to retrain our mindset, begin to get beyond the habitual tendencies and start creating intentional tendencies so that we no longer are victim of whatever environment we were just brought up in. We choose how we want our mind to work. Look at that illustration on your screen. Push or pull. If you could answer the question of which of the two do you think is more in operation in your life? In pursuit of your dreams, in pursuit of your goals, do you have enough pull from the inspiration of the goals that every single day you wake up and actually show up and keep going because the showing up part is inspired by the meaning, the value, the motivation that comes from the goals? Or do you have to push yourself every day because you do not have anything in the future that pulls you there? Because unfortunately, if you don't have something in the future that is pulling you towards the future, the past is ready. The past has been going to the gym since you were born. So the past is always ready to pull you back. Your mistakes go to the gym every day. Sometimes the mistakes are in the gym when you are asleep at night, you're asleep and they are there and they are ready. You see somebody else do something. Even before you consciously think about it, your past is already pulling you backwards, such that you get going into the future, pushing yourself is going to be one of the hardest things that you have to do. And therefore, one of the most important shifts that we have to make in pursuit of authentic breakthrough is finding an anchor so far in the future beyond what we can reach that becomes the basis on which what will pull us forward is anchored. So that where we are going is not anchored on where we are or where we have been, it's anchored on where we are going. Where we are going becomes as clear as the past. We can begin to see tomorrow as clearly as we remember yesterday. Then we can begin to balance the power and even overcome the pull of yesterday with a stronger, more meaningful, more exciting pull of tomorrow. So that the past is no longer the only voice that is encroaching on the present, that the future begins to also communicate really strongly to you and becomes a source of not only balance, but also more power that actually helps you overcome the inertia. Pushing yourself every single day to important goals is one of the most exhausting things you will ever do. It's the most common reason why people give up. And as long as you haven't found a consistently clear goal, clear vision, clear destination, clear future that puts you towards itself, you will always be dependent on pushing yourself. Pushing yourself is one of the hardest, one of the most exhausting things that you will ever do. So let's think about time. When you think about time, first of all, time is an illusion. Time is an illusion. Everything that happened last year, everything that happened 3 years ago has many truths. And what do you remember as the truth? The version of the story you have. It's just one version of the story. Sometimes even where, for example, you are the hero, you are absolutely free of any blame, you will find that there might be somebody who has a story where you're actually kind of the villain. It's such that the version of the story, if you have 10, 5, or 15 or 20 different people involved in a situation, there is always a different version of the story. So the story that you carry from yesterday, story you carry from childhood, the story you carry from 10 years ago is colored by your mindset. Sometimes it's weird how the present can color everything. Have you noticed that sometimes when you are tired or hungry, the same people will talk to you, but sometimes when they talk to you and you are okay, you are happy, it's not a problem. But when you're hungry, you're sleepy, you're tired, you kind of they're kind of annoying. It's not that you choose, it's just what you feel automatically. Your present mindset right now colors how you respond to everything. It colors how you think about yesterday. It colors how you think about your childhood. And unfortunately, what I think about becomes real in the present moment because the past is an illusion. When I think about my childhood, think about high school, let's think about maybe my first job, my first house, whatever I've traveled to. When I remember those things in the present moment, they create images in my mind, and my subconscious mind does not know the difference between what happened in 1993 and what is happening right now. So the images that I create, those images carry emotion. And that emotion shows up right now. So that what I'm experiencing today and what I experienced in 1997, when I create mental images through thought alone, just by thinking them, they have an impact today. So should my past be creating my present? Should my past be creating my present? Where should be the point of leverage? The point of leverage be in the present or should it be in the past? Should my present be creating the future? Should my today be creating tomorrow? The last question is, should tomorrow be creating the present? I do not know about you, but I have thought about this question for a while. What does it mean to stagnate? What does it mean to get stuck? When I think, for example, about Apple, the company Apple, and the first time when they released the iPod, the first time that music was mobile in a very small gadget. When they released the iPod, it blew people's minds away. But then what caught my attention the most, especially as I keep going back to those events related to Apple, is listening to Steve Jobs' speech on that day, saying that he loves to listen to his customers, but for the purpose of coming up with specific ideas like the iPod, the MacBook Air, which was the day he released it, it was actually in an envelope, laptop in an envelope, and the iPad. He said that for the purpose of coming up with those kinds of inventions, he couldn't listen to his customers. The reason is that his customers could not see what they would have wanted. That he could tell what the customers want, some delightful experience, but they can't see what they want. And that every single time I think about that, it gets me wondering, might it be that sometimes we get stuck because we are dependent on our current level of awareness, current capacities, and our current resources to create something that transcends all these things? In other words, we are trying to create something that we cannot see, something that we cannot conjure up. One of my nephews who lives in Florida, at the time this story happened, I'm telling you, he had just started junior high school. He is very good in American football. And his coach asked him what he wanted. What do you want? And his view was, his highest dream was, uh, I want to play college football. And that would be straightforward because he had already seen that he knew people who were playing college football. But his coach asked him, why not going pro? Why not professional football? And that had, so he hadn't brought himself to thinking about the possibility of going all the way. And it's important for that differentiation to be clear for him, because if he wants to play college football, there are coaches around in Tampa, Florida, who could have coached him. But if he wanted to go professional, they had to move away from Tampa, Florida, because there was no coach who had ever trained anyone who ended up playing professional football. And they ended up moving out of Tampa, Florida. Once he embraced the vision of playing pro, he never had the idea that he would one day play pro. He would have gotten there eventually, maybe would have gotten there later. Might it be that you and I sometimes get caught where we are because there's a direction we want to go to, but we have not clarified the vision of where we want to end up? So that once that vision becomes very, very clear, then it requires us to actually follow a different pathway. It requires us to drop some of what we are doing, to change the circle that we are surrounded by, to change the kind of books we are reading, change who we accept into our inner circle, who we are connected to on social media, whose information shows up on our timeline, whose conversations we get into, which podcasts we listen to, what kind of programs we sign up for watching, how frequently we show up, how frequently we reflect, how frequently we pair up with exercises. Might it be that part of the reason why we get stuck is because we have the capacity to play pro, to go professional, but we are just thinking college, such that what we are thinking of leads us to find what is available in our environment. And maybe if we clarified our vision, it could have pushed us to go into a different environment, create a different set of disciplines, show up with a different level of determination. I believe one of the biggest traps that we fall into is trying to create the future using the present instead of using the future to shape the present. When we try to create the future using the present, we create a future that is limited by the same limitations we are operating under today. If you're trying to create an amazing future tomorrow, it has to be subject to the same limitations you are dealing with today because you are limited today. But if you're going to go pro, you have to first of all commit that you are going pro. And once you commit that you are going pro, you have to move out of Tampa, Florida and go to a different environment. But you can't move unless that vision is clear. How clear is it for you where you are going? Are you willing to embrace a different vision and ignore everything else? This is how you create vision traction. And if you did the exercise, this is one of the things you definitely learned. When you create vision traction, year 20 can become very clear in your mind. Year 20 is very clear. Year 10 also as clear. Year 5, not as clear as 20, but clear. But then you come to 1 year and suddenly you are struggling. The reason is because there is dissonance. There is dissonance between what you want, what you desire, the openness you have for a bigger vision, and how that vision has to operate today. If the vision at 20 years is not strong enough, not going to change your year 1. Because if your year 1 doesn't change, year 20 is not going to happen. Vision traction means to spend as much time as you need on the year 20 vision until it becomes absolutely clear. It needs to be a vision that is beyond what you can do today with your own skills, with your own resources, so that then it forces you to begin to operate differently from today so that by year 10, your life is totally different. You create vision traction as a way to use the future to change today, to use the future to reshape your present today. And the three pillars you need to pay attention to with regards to your mindset, the three pillars are your frame, your focus, and your flow. Your frame, your focus, and your flow. For where you want to go, is your frame the right one? Are you framing 20 years from today on the basis of what happened 10 years ago or on the basis of what is happening today? Because this is the reality that whenever you are trying to shape the future based on today, you are using a past moment. As soon as you conceive, as soon as you pay attention to this moment, it's gone. This moment is gone in 1 second, just like this. Like when I do this, the moment I did that is gone. And I'll do it again. But the moment I did that is gone. And I did this, the moment I did that is gone. This present moment is fleeting, it's continually moving back, such that when we focus on creating the future based on the present, if our frame is focused on the present, it is ultimately focused on the future because the present moment is continually fleeting. The present moment is continually fleeting, and the only way psychologically we know to operate is to create some staticness. We have to kind of fix our identity. This is my identity. This is my mind. This is my character. It has to be fixed. And the moment it becomes fixed, it's in the past already. The future is available to pull me forward. The future is available to pull you forward because the future is far enough that it allows me to delink from what is right now, to conceive what I truly, truly desire beyond the limitations, so that it can require me to move to wherever I need to, change in whichever way I need to. As long as that future remains clear, as long as the vision is crystal clear, compelling, and it continues to pull me, it pulls me to, it makes the present moment come alive on a continuing basis because this present moment is serving that vision. Are you willing to adopt a new frame, a frame that is focused on that vision, so that what you see is colored and influenced so much by the vision of 20 years that whatever limitations you're dealing with today, you know they are passing. Because these limitations may look so real, but like that, they are gone. Like that, they are gone. And it may not feel like you're overcoming them. You just need to hold that vision clear. You hold that vision clear in mind. You hold it, it becomes crystal clear. This has to change. What is your frame? Are you willing to change the frame and let this frame be filled by the future? And what is your focus? Are you about to have a vision that fills your frame, but your focus is in the past? Trying to see, oh, what did I do wrong yesterday so that I can avoid doing it today? What is your focus? What is the central focus? The frame is filled with 100%, but this 100% is not all that you're going to do today. You have 100% of vision going forward, but today, at this moment, you have to narrow down onto what is it that you can begin tackling. We tend to sabotage our own visions because we have a big vision and our mind wants to start doing it all at once. In the process, we sabotage ourselves because we don't have the knowledge, we don't have the skills, we don't have the time, we don't have the networks to do it all. But what is it that I can focus on? What segments can I focus on? Particularly, what segments that involve my own evolution I can focus on today? If the frame is clear, the frame is filled with that future reality, and my focus is clear. My focus consumed by what I can control with my own hands. How I use my time, what kind of words I use, how I view myself, how I show up, what I am learning, what I'm reflecting, what conversations I'm involved in, the things, focusing on the things that I can control and making sure that the things I can control are aligned with the frame that I have chosen. And number three, choosing an adequate flow. Choosing an adequate flow. One of the biggest shifts that you have to make in this coming 30 days for Q2 to be amazing is to stop operating with a ceiling and start operating with a flow. We operate with a ceiling where we work out and we are like, oh, 30 minutes, that's enough. Oh, I have exercised for 5 days. Oh, that's amazing. Where the upper limit is very clear. But what is your lower limit? What's your lower limit? It's up. I have loved having a lower limit. I'm not a ceiling on how much time I use on social media. That one, I would encourage you to have a ceiling. If it's 30 minutes, that is the ceiling. But for the other things, for example, working out, uh, reflecting what you read, what is your flow? What is your minimum standard? For the sake of being able to get to the vision you are going to, how many repetitions are you going to allow yourself to get to? So that if you have worked out for four times in a week, that is minimum. That is your flow. So now flow, you can add a little bit more. If you've spoken to 10 clients, that is the minimum. That is the flow. So that your limitation is not the ceiling, it is the flow. You get to the limitation and then you do one more. You do one more. You do one more. You've spoken to 15 clients, 20 clients, 30 clients. Okay, just one more. You've read 5 pages, one more. You've reflected on 6 questions, one more. So these 3 pillars, we can use this framework to clarify our mindset with regards to what is in our frame Is the frame filled by the past or the fleeting present or the future? And is it an inspiring future that helps us move out of Tampa, Florida, so that we can go pro? Number two, are we focused on the right things? Are we focused on what we lack, or are we focused on what we can control right now? And number three, what is the minimum? What's the floor? Are we willing to replace the ceiling with a floor so that the maximum that we do a day is no longer our focus? It is what is the minimum that I need to do? I need to get to today. When you think about the conversation we had at the last meeting, looking at the four layers, the four levels of creation, from the bottom, which is implementation, all the way to imagination. The three pillars that you see in there are the three pillars that we've just spoken about. Flow, your focus, and your frame. So we bring those pillars here and we put them together with imagination, communication, unification, and implementation. You're operating at the level of implementation. You are barely hitting the floor. You're barely going above your floor, above your lowest. You come to your unification, the level of unification. Hopefully you are past the floor because you are now the manager essentially, that you are able to show up every single day. You're doing the minimum, but in addition to that, you also know how to focus the available resources, to focus your faculties, to focus your mind, to focus your energy, to narrow it down to what truly matters. And at the level of communication, you are able to clarify the scope of the vision that you see. In other words, you are able to act on the vision, even if it, to whatever level of clarity, you are able to consistently act on it at the level of implementation. You're able to organize yourself, organize your faculties, organize your resources for it at the level of unification. And at the level of communication, you are able to utilize all the three. That you are able to define the frame. If I asked you, so what is the focus, the extent of your vision, what is the extent of your goals, what's your mission, what are your non-negotiables this year, what is your absolute minimum this year? You're able to communicate these things, not just with yourself, you have it written down very clearly. You are able to move with all these pillars together. Your frame, your focus, and your flow. But at the level of imagination, you're no longer just clarifying vision. You're no longer organizing and acting on it. You are creating a new vision for yourself. You're creating a new reality that sometimes is too beautiful for you to even talk to other people about it. That is the test. If if the vision you are pursuing for the next 20 years is something that you can talk to other people easily, not big enough. You've not allowed yourself to embrace a good enough vision. Your challenge is to start pursuing a vision so ridiculous that it causes ridiculous changes in your present life. If you're not pursuing a ridiculous vision, if you're pursuing an ordinary vision, there are going to be ordinary changes in your life. If you want real transformation, real breakthrough, you have to be willing to embrace a vision so ridiculous that it causes ridiculous transformation in your life today. The kind of vision where you have written down, if somebody read it, they might wonder, should they pray for you or take you to, to mental health? That's because they can't understand. That is where the power of your transformation lies. And this is the beginning of actual shift in your mindset. Because I'm going a little longer because I think it's so important for us to really, really talk about this. Think about it. I'm going to say something that might sound radical to you, but I would like you to think about it. I want you to think about it. The future that we are trying to pursue is made up. The future we are trying to pursue is made up. The past that we remember is also made up. That's probably, I don't know about you, but that initially brought a lot of resistance to me. The past made up. Past can be redefined. It's made up, which means it can be redefined. And I hope we get a little bit of time to do a hot seat and deal with one of these aspects. The present right now, as it's going, the present is being made up. It's, oh my goodness. I would like to hear later but, but what your perspective is about this. The past and the future are malleable, like 100% malleable within our hands. I have shared with you during the breakthrough challenge that there was a teacher who was probably he won the award to be my worst teacher. I wish him well. I don't talk about him because he's gone, but that's the truth. He was my worst teacher. But I don't know how I learned to do it, but whenever I was in his class, I found a way to frame everything that he said to me such that what he said never registered in my mind. What he said never registered in my mind. And it's funny that I was in class with his son. His son also was in the same class with me. But it's somehow what he said never registered. It never registered. Now I remember those words, and those words when I remembered them, especially when I was writing my second book, Born to Win, when those words came back, for some reason, they came with a lot of emotion. But I don't know how I redefined those encounters such that it never caused the emotional reaction that potentially they should have caused. The future, we are making up the future. When we anticipate failure, we are making it up. When we fear that we will not be adequate, we are making it up. Now the question is, shall we continue making it up where it ends up badly for us, or shall we choose to make it up where it ends up positively for us? So that when I pray about it, I'm not praying about it in a way that magnifies the fear. Because if I make the future such that it ends up with me struggling or with me failing, I have to pray so that God can begin painting this future that I'm painting in my mind. The future, the future that you see in your mind, you are making it up. When you get there, God has already ordained what is going to happen. The danger is for me and you to sabotage what was going to happen by narrowing our scope so to such an extent that we don't even have a chance of coming even anywhere close. Imagine Prophet Ezekiel. Can you imagine when he was a child, when he was a young boy, would he have imagined that he would speak to bones in a body and the bones come to life? What if that is what you are designed to do in some realm, something close to that, to bring bones to life? But you are dreaming of how you can find a tractor to go and cover those bones with soil. You will be serving. you're serving. You are useful. You're like this. Let's bury these bonds with dignity. And yet you are designed to come and speak to these bonds. Imagine, just put yourself in his mindset. And I don't know whether or not you believe in the Bible. Just if you don't, just think of it as a story. That is this man. He was probably a little slender man, and he goes to the village and tells them that next week I will go to speak to the bonds in the valley, and the bonds will rise up. Do you think they would have believed him? They would have taken him to Madare, right? The future, we are making up the future. Let's not make up the future in a way that holds us back. Let's not make up the future in a way that limits us at the level of implementation and unification. And we lose even the opportunity to communicate about it. Most importantly, we totally sabotage any chance that we will ever rise to the level of imagination. Imagination rises above the frame, above focus, above the flow, and creates something that now shapes what kind of focus it's going to be. It creates all these ingredients. It overhauls everything. If you imagine clearly and strongly enough, if you see that 20-year vision clearly enough, strongly enough, ridiculously enough, beyond what no eye has seen, nor has it entered the mind of man, to create something so ridiculous that it changes this present moment, you will open up space for God to start working in ways that amaze you beyond explanation, beyond words. And one of the ways to get there is to shift what you focus on. Continue working on the frame, raise your flow, but what you focus on. If you look at this frame again, at the level of acting on it, if you are at the level of implementation, you are 80% of the work you're doing is giving you 20% of impact. The goal is to start narrowing down so that you're no longer doing the 80% of the work, but you are seeking the 20%, the 20% that gives you 80% of the impact. You are seeking to operate in alignment with the Pareto principle so that you are doing the few that carry the most impact. And this is how you begin to carry your mindset forward in such a way that it no longer limits you. So that your mindset becomes the key rather than becomes the flow, rather than limiting you. Focusing on the things that will move the needle forward towards where you are going as much as possible. If you are going to narrow down to the 20%, you have to be willing to let go of 80%. Think about today. If you are letting go of 80% of the things that you do so that you really go deep into the 20% that will move the needle forward, what are some of the things that you would have to let go of? Are you willing to grapple with that question and narrow down and delete the things that need to be deleted to improve the effectiveness with which you implement the core, crucial ingredients, things that you can't delegate to anybody else, things that only you can do? Start doing those things with such a high level of focus in April that quarter 2 has no option but to be an elevated quarter 2. Are you willing to develop sufficient clarity that you get the point of no return? It is clear that 20 years from today starts now, and these are the things that I am narrowing down to. So that your frame is no longer focused on the past. Your frame is no longer dependent on the present. Your frame is defined by 20 years from today. Your focus helps you to narrow down to the things you can control today so that you dominate those things. As you dominate the things you can control today, what you can control expands. You feel your comfort zone such that your identity begins to expand. You begin to become the person who is able to fulfill the vision at 20 years from today. And you take these few things, but then you raise your floor, the repetitions you do with these few things, because the fewer they are, the more you can repeat them, more you can be more intentional, the deeper you can be on each of these things. You bring yourself to a point of no return with such sufficient intensity that your comfort zone has to expand, your identity has to expand, that the vision has to start feeling like home, feeling like real, feeling like inevitable for you. If you carry anything from this session, I hope it will be this, that the single most powerful mindset shift that you need in this next season is to no longer allow the past or the present be the basis on which you create the future, but instead flip the script and let the future determine what has to happen today. Let the future lead you to move out of Tampa, Florida, so that you can move to a city where you'll find a coach, mentor, and clubs that can prepare you to go pro. And that's because you allowed the future to bring to your awareness something that you otherwise would not have become aware of. To use the future, create a reality that you want to see, a reality that you desire, to allow the future to shape your vision, allow the future to determine the frame, to determine your focus, things that you can control, and to determine the flow. No longer be limited by a ceiling, but be guided by a flow and operate above the flow with those few things that bring you 80% of the results. Let go of the fluff, figure out what the fluff is and let go of the fluff. You can focus on the 20% that brings you 80% of value day, day. And with that, we will transition to hot seat. I would like to ask if we could have more people on video. We have less than half of the participants here on video. We have more people on video. So for hot seat, thankfully Jacqueline Kulo is on. So we are going to connect with Jacqueline and get an update from last week. It's not me selecting you. I see it in the eyes of everyone on the call that they want to hear how Jacqueline has done. Can you raise your hand if you want to hear how Jacqueline did? Everyone who is on. Okay, and everyone, especially those who are not on video, please type yes if you want to hear about how Jacqueline did. Type yes in the chat box. Type yes, type yes, type yes. I know that Florence and Sylvia are out in the wild. Everyone else, right? Yes, yes, those are 5 yes. In fact, there are yeses with several E's. Oh my goodness. Okay. You see, this business, this business is not your business now. This is our business. Those are 10 yeses, Jacqueline. 10 yeses. Okay. All right. Those are 12 yeses. 12 is the perfect number. The number of disciples, the number of months, the number of clients that Jacqueline called today. It's 12. They're now 13. Almost getting to 15. All right. Morning, Jacqueline.
Morning,
How are you today?
everyone. I am good.
Sorry.
I was doing well. Now you have sent me into panic mode again.
I am sorry, but we are doing it. We are doing it. All right. All right. So this is called where the rubber meets the road, Jacqueline. We are putting you on a trajectory that will change this business. This is uncomfortable action. This is uncomfortable action. I'm sorry that we had to touch base, but let's touch base just for the purpose of continuity. And then we'll see. I don't know where we'll go to next. Give us an update. First of all, Friday. How many clients did you call Friday? And this is, we are going straight to the core of it. So let's just go.
Yesterday, I managed to reach 9.
Okay. What was the barrier?
Clients. Most of the people were not picking their calls.
How many calls did you make? Then we can talk about how many picked. How many did you make?
I made about 16.
You made about 16, okay?
Yes, I made 16, yes.
So
I made 16 calls.
So that is, so today's session is a gift to you. So 15 is the ceiling, right? 15 has been the ceiling. You're like, once you get 15, it's you are done, right? At least you've made progress. Now, are you willing to switch it over? And today, from today going forward, 15 becomes the floor.
Yeah. Yes, I'm going to put in that effort.
Okay. 15 becomes the floor. Let's can I suggest a different approach? So the floor is now 15, but how many no's do you want to get every day?
How many no's do I want to get?
Yes.
I would like to get none.
That's not going to happen. You know that, right? So the ones, if you made 16 calls and 5 or 6 of them did not pick, that means you have a lot of saved time, right? So that is a wasted no. So you need to call somebody else. Because the ones that picked, how many picked? 9 of them?
Yeah, about, let me check.
The word about needs to disappear.
I was checking, yeah.
Yes.
11 picked.
11 picked. How many
yes
did you get?
I got 4 yeses.
You got 4 yeses, which means you got 9 no's.
Yes.
Yeah, that's nitrous oxide is the fertilizer the business is going to grow on, right? And no, no is nitrous oxide. Okay, give yourself a floor in terms of how many no's you're getting.
Okay.
Yes, you will automatically proceed. But let's talk about yesterday and the first day you started making the calls after the hot seat. Tell me how the experience was between the 2 days.
I am definitely more brave. I have more courage. I have I'm able to navigate the conversation better. Like if you try, like if someone tries to put me off, I have more courage to push it a little bit more. Like maybe redirect the conversation in a different direction where maybe I'll end up with let's talk next month, as opposed to what I get a lot is with the current economy, people are not buying clothes. That's what I'm getting a lot. So I have to figure out how to also bring in that, yes, the economy is challenging, but we have to look good as we are doing it so that it can give us the confidence to power on. So I have to figure out how to say those words I try to not make it pushy, not to be in someone's face, because that I know irritates me when someone is calling me and trying to sell to me something and they're being in my face.
Yeah.
So that is what I've been working on. Then I also work on gathering myself together when I get a very harsh no.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is normally where I lose time, when I have to pick myself up and say, let's do this.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much.
The day I'm just thinking, the day you return to a physical store after you have been selling on the phone, my goodness. Any woman who walks into your shop will walk out with five more outfits than they intended to buy, right? You are doing the heavy lifting. So first of all, I congratulate you. This is uncomfortable action. You are taking it. The no's are something that we have to intentionally get ready for. Every call, every call you make, you expect that there might be a no. Remember, the no is feedback to your strategy, feedback to your product, feedback to your timing. It's feedback to many aspects that have nothing to do with you, right? Nothing, absolutely nothing to do with you. You are speaking to clients that you have seen before, that you have spoken to before. You are using them as training ground for the day you will speak to women you have never spoken to. The woman that you're preparing for is not the woman that you've sold to. It's the woman that you've never interacted with, woman that you will be referred to. The woman that you are preparing to sell to does not care about the economy. She doesn't even realize what's going on in the economy. She is ready to buy from you, but she is ready to buy from you on the basis of connection. And so the heavy lifting you are doing is the preparation that you are doing to be able to connect with them. You don't need to connect with their wallet. You don't need to connect with whatever else. It is connecting with their heart in terms of what they care about. So you are you are on the right track, right? The What I wanted to explore with you very briefly is, I know the events that happened leading to you losing your physical store, which so the question is, what is it going to take for what happened that led to the physical store, you losing the physical store? What is it going to take so that that is no longer the main story? What is it going to take? And I'm asking you that question to see, to have you reflect on it. You can reflect on it here or maybe later. But what is it going to take?
Um, when I start seeing the figures that I was seeing before, then I will know I have reached. Is that what you're asking?
No, continue. It's you reflecting.
Um, so basically, when I start seeing, at one point, my store was known to be the one that I was the go-to store when it came to dressing plus-size women. It just came to people's lips. So when I get there, whereby you walk into a space and you find someone is wearing one of your outfits and they're happy about it, they're content. Again, like I said, when I get the figures, when my systems are in place and I'm able to remove my foot off of the gas pedal, I don't have to be there throughout. I think that's what it would take for me.
So that is the outcome, and that's clear. There are many layers to this. Let's focus on that's the outcome. Now the what you are doing is what will lead you there, such that You know, the most painful emotions we have in life, they occur in a moment. There was a day when some things had gone wrong in the business, but you were not aware about it. Therefore, you didn't feel the pain, right? But then suddenly, there was that particular moment when you learned and you felt the pain immediately, right? That's the trap that we all have to be aware about, such that the pain can happen in a moment like this, but it can take so much longer for the pain to go. And unfortunately, the pain is like a bulb to moths or flies, such that our attention almost automatically runs towards or is attracted very strongly by the pain. When we had the conversation midweek, following up with you, and this is for all of us, your challenge and my challenge is how to make yesterday's events no longer the primary definition for the next step that we need to take, right? And unfortunately, we can't escape when something painful has happened. I mean, if you lost money, exactly. When you lost money, you lost a place that you're showing up to every day. That's painful, right? But you're 20 years from today, you're 20 years from today. Now, we need to be able to define it based on what you really want, where you want the store to be in 20 years. Maybe in 20 years you won't be doing this business, but can you give us an idea, just a rough idea, in 20 years, if you want to project for this business in 20 years, where would this business be?
Mm, I'd want to be able to, and this has been my dream, to manufacture uh, the outfits locally as opposed to sourcing them. So, because when I'm sourcing them, I am limited to what is available. So, ideally, I would like to be able to manufacture.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I have, I would tell you when I first spoke to you about your business, this is the vision that came to my mind. Somebody walks into a big hall and those clothes have your label on it, Kulo clothing or something like that. I don't know where that came from, but it's the that kind of that kind of vision makes what happened to your previous business just training ground. What we need to do, what you are doing now, feeling the present level of consciousness with so much activity that that event yesterday is not any different from the events happening today. So that then those events lose the emotional sting and lose you so that you're free to take the next steps. Thank you for the update. What is the next, what are the next steps for you? What are the next steps? What's going to happen this coming week or this coming quarter?
To, I want to work on calling more.
Calling more people.
Yeah, calling more people. Um, like you said, to let go of the heart of the past, to get past that. Uh, Identify the triggers that bring those emotions back and let go of them. I think that will be my focus for this quarter, especially to let go of those emotions.
Fantastic. Yeah. Stay on track. Those emotions need to go out of the frame. We need to fill the frame with something else. The vision of where you are going. Those emotions are that season is over. So those emotions need to go with that season without losing the lesson. You know, the lesson for you is to inspect what you expect, so that you track your employees, but you still inspect what you expect. Thank you for the update and stay on track. We'll move on to someone else for the hot seat. Right, it is keeps changing my order. Where is Gladys? Gladys Muhunyo Nyambura. Gladys Jabora Buhuyo. Let's go. Hello, Gladys.
Good evening, Doc. Good morning, tribe.
Tell me what's going on with you.
A lot of things are shifting with me because of the personal reflection. It's been one of the most difficult things to do this week, especially because I'm reflecting after about 150 days, 60 plus 90 days of planning, and the March being the month I actually hit the ground. It's been scary to reflect, especially on the pillar that has been hazy on my mind.
Yeah.
What is going on right now is that I've reflected, I've been operating my future on the frame of my past. I think this session has just brought that very, very clearly, because I know what's in the past. I'm the one who brings the average age of the group higher than normal. So I'm looking at all these people with the visions they have. And I know, I am sorry to burst the bubble, but at one point your vision will crumble, because it will outgrow who you are. I mean, what I'm working on today is not what I had envisioned to be doing in my 50s. But that's notwithstanding, the main thing that is clear, the breakthrough that I have achieved is ensuring the foundation person I am is ready to hold the Moses-like vision. The person that I create, the person that I work on every day, is able to hold that vision. It's important that when it becomes a reality, I don't crumble, because I'm not resilient. I'm not able to withstand the no's that come with they sometimes come with so much attitude, and you're like, am I really ready for this one, or do I let it go?
Yeah.
And one of my biggest win was a very small trip I did to town.
Yeah.
I had about an hour, and I did a trip to town. And I'm sharing this because it was mind-blowing for me. As a mother, and a lot of needs that happen when you do a trip to town, whether it is you have a million things that you want to do. Because I'm here, let me do this. Because I'm here, let me do this. But I had set myself 1 hour, and I'd set myself one task, and I'd set myself how much I want to spend for that task. But I had much more money, and I had much more time that I could have spent there. But because I had planned to be resolute, I did that trip, did that one task, and I was back to my original position in an hour. And I was like, oh my God, you can actually do this. You can actually plan it out.
Yeah.
And those are the things would have been meaningless, but I would have been caught up with them. Mm-hmm. So I find that as I reflect on my vision, as I reflect on what I have, I was actually making room for people to interrupt me. I was making room for those distractions. I was making room. I was making space for bad direction. Why was I doing that? So it's become very real that, in fact, my worry is the future will become so clear that it will become what I wanted it to become. You know how you really want something, and then it becomes like, oh my God, is this really what I wanted to do, or is it different? The other thing is the people who watch you and people who you share with. They, instead of them, you're sharing and people are watching you, instead of them encouraging you, they're telling you, my God, that's too much. So I am thinking now, let me just stop sharing, because
yes,
it's it's going to be, it's too much for anybody else to think what you're imagining. Yeah, that's what's going on.
Yep. Can you imagine Jacqueline shows up at a family meeting and he's like, I think in 15 years, I think I'll just start manufacturing these clothes in Nairobi. They're like,
Yeah.
it's I gave you Fuliza last week. You're thinking that they find every reason on the surface. That is Gladys, you without a failure, you have been the single most consistent person on the momentum challenge and the breakthrough challenge. If I send out a reflection link or an evaluation link and there is one response in there, it is Gladys' response. If we have had a meeting, I go to sleep, I wake up in the morning, there are two responses, two reflections. One of them is Gladys. So you have inspired me back. You have no idea how many days. So for example, today, I have had since I came back from Kenya, I've had a series of days that I've never experienced anything like this, where like I've driven to the hospital more days during this final year than I did during my second year last year. But because of your participation and a couple of other participants, particularly from all the way from the Momentum Challenge, you keep me. I have to continue going forward. So I want to say thank you for that. I have seen your evolution all through in terms of how your awareness has kept changing. I remember the first time we spoke about the concept of resistance as something that we deal with. And you reflected about everything else, but you said, this one I have to marinate on. And I remember exactly 3 days later, you came back with your response about that. And you do that very consistently on concepts that you are encountering, which you do not feel ready. And by the time you come back, I always see that I can see you're no longer doing it surface level. It is deep. The daily reset. I would challenge anybody in this community. Find anybody who has posted with the same consistency, the same level of consistency that I, Nyambura Mugunyo, I am now a citizen of the kingdom on a day-to-day basis. So this work you are doing has to show up. This work you are doing, this bamboo whose roots you are sprouting, has to show up. And it's going to show up, I think in 5 to 7 years from today, some people who knew you like 3, 4 years ago will meet you and they wouldn't recognize you. Or even maybe you have a meeting or you sit together for a conversation, they would see a very, very different side of you. You will most likely be quieter than I used to, or when you are speaking, they are hearing a totally different perspective, different version. They are hearing a version of you that almost makes them comfortable. I'm telling you that because that is my lived experience. I was in Kenya just recently, and I go to the village and I meet my classmates from high school. And apart from, hey, how have you been? It's been long. That is the end of the conversation. There is very little else that we can actually engage in as a conversation, right? So I know that this bamboo whose root you're continuing to sprout,
Thank you.
it's going to go through. What is the main thing you are doing right now? And I'm not asking you because I don't know, but because I want you to define it yourself.
Yeah, the main thing I'm doing now is to have deliberate conversations with myself and with what I would call significant partners or connections that I would like to have, because I feel the dream is bigger than one person, and I need to be able to get the people who will do the 80% of the implementation while I do the 80% of the impact.
Yeah.
And those deeper conversations are means creating relationships where you increase the trust level. So I'm in the process of looking for deeper conversations in April that will be very thorough and will have a follow-up to ensure that out of 10 people that I choose to have deeper conversation, is at least one of them will become the pillar to go forward.
Why should they care?
I don't think they should care. It is more like them seeing themselves in the future with what I'm working on. They might not see the care right now. I'm the one to see the ingredients they have that will make them see themselves in the future. They would care because I'm helping. When you show up and solve somebody's problem, there's the story where if you show up and help somebody get their vision, they will also help you get theirs. So 90% of the time I will show up to help them. So basically, and sometimes that comes with free service, which should not be free. But when I help you, connect you to Dr. Job Mogire, for example, it means that connection was valuable. And I in the project I'm trying to get out of right now, I remember the leader telling me that 90% of the connections I have given them have been true, can see the light. So that means that they will care because I'll have given them the right connection. I think connecting people is one of the skills I have.
You are a connector. You're naturally a connector. I couldn't have ended up speaking at Nakuru Toastmasters if it wasn't for you. And I've seen you literally brought Toastmasters to Nakuru. So that's that's who you are. Am I told me?
Sorry, I lost you.
What problem are you solving?
I am solving a problem of a lost generation. I'm solving the problem of skills loss.
Yeah.
Expertise and skills loss with people who have already done it and they're dying with it. Yeah. And somebody else comes up and tries to design a cup with a handle, and it's been proven that you don't need cups with handles. So I'm solving a generation knowledge loss.
So this is my question right now, and I ask some of these questions as though I don't know anything, so that it gives us another opportunity to clarify things. What would be the foundation upon which this project can sustain itself beyond you? In other words, let's start off with the basics. How will this project fund itself?
Published books, published memos, published how-to books.
Okay.
So whoever has the skills and we help them publish their how-to,
yeah.
I mean, they'll forever be in business. They'll forever learn income. But you see, not everyone can publish themselves alone. But if you have a series of how-tos in one book, then it's easy to do that. So it's publishing and records that if you do not get to see the human person who you're exchanging information from, you can actually hear them and read them.
So publishing is one. So essentially what you are doing is about the stories.
Yes.
And so my question is, what other forms have you considered in terms of what the stories can take? So they publish the physical form, but we are also dealing with a generation that is moving a lot more towards a digital space. I don't know what considerations you've given to the other parts in terms of maybe other forms of telling the story.
Now, my 20-year vision, Mogire, Daktari, the future is not digital when I see it. The future is human contact. We've been online for so long that I long to hold somebody's hand and walk around a sunset beach and hear their story. The future of knowledge transfer is not digital, it's human. So it is the franchise of the human library centers that is the future. Sorry to burst everybody's bubble. At one point, you will need to listen to a grandmother tell a story, even if it's not yours, on a kitchen table with hot coffee.
I can't wait. I can't wait to be a grandfather.
And you'll pay $1,000 for that effect. You will pay because it will be worth it.
Yeah, yeah. That is well, you just said something that is really the experience part is the experience is, I mean, I miss the experiences, being able to actually interact with people directly. The pain for me again now, the 20-year vision, that's one thing I hadn't asked. 20 years from today.
Yeah, 20 years from today, I'll have perfected the experience of seeing now the younger grandmothers, because I'll be an older grandmother, bringing up, the franchise centers of sharing and impacting life skills on the younger generation. 15 years from today, we will be not just in Kenya. We will actually have road trips for breakfast sharings. You can sign up on a bus and go to a city for 2 weeks, and people just sign up to come and have breakfast with grandmothers. So 20 years from today, it will work more of a franchise than me, and we'll be seeing people saying, I read a memoir about a certain grandmother and traveled to Luanda to meet them because of the story they said about this. Yes. So mine would have been seeing the pouring in of stories to the young people and the satisfaction that this person actually started planting their own bamboos because they had somebody else do it.
Yeah. What are the top 3 obstacles you are grappling with?
Finance, and I'm so happy to have been paired with Fanny's yesterday because now I have a figure for the finance that I'm working on. That's the first one that I was battling with. The second one that I was battling with is basically to not rush the process. I think I was going to rush the process and do it in 5 years, but I realized now when you're dealing with emotions like vision, the process cannot be rushed. And this I was helped by a coach. I was battling with the idea of trying to do this on my own, and I've since put in a coach in between. The other one that I'm battling with, which I have actually resolved, is that it's not going to be everybody's cup of tea. And people will not see what you're trying to do. People will not see that there will be a hunger in connection, in physical connection right now because everybody's digital. So we used to battle with, how can I get more people to agree to my idea? And then you get more people telling you that you're not serious about what you are doing right now. So I think I'm resolved after this week. My last week, you would have asked me that, I've told you I'm battling with it. But this week, after the self-reflection, I am not battling with the main thing I'm asking myself, because I am a student of life, will I continue learning or will I reach a place where I'll also say, now I've had enough? So maybe that's the battle right now, not whether people sign up right now or not.
It's those are stoppers, those are vision stoppers that you're already tackling, realizing that not everybody will buy the vision. Resources will be, you have to stretch. The resources are available. They are available, just that you have to stretch to reach them. Like the tree, you can be planted by the river, but if you don't spread your roots into the river, you will not get the water. The water is just right next to you. So I believe the vision I have, which hopefully I'll share with you guys at some point. I don't have my own resources. Even when I start working full time, I still won't have enough resources by myself. So I know what you're talking about. The final question that I want to ask you. what is the 20% that will produce the 80% of traction, the vision traction for this vision that you have? What is that 20% that, and I particularly want to see what's the 20% that you can focus on today that will produce 80% of the results, 80% of the impact?
I think the 20% is to refine the process. I'm in the middle of a children's program, and I just did that because there was a need. But once I refined the process of how to onboard the parent and the child and getting the system, it's basically just having its own life. So the what I call the gladness, the uniqueness, and the authenticity I can have is to refine the process so thoroughly that it can't be anything else. It takes it becomes its iPad, and you talked about Apple. It becomes mind blowing that if you are retiring and you need to share your story, this is the process. This is the process you go through. If you're looking to learn as a child who is orphaned or had no grandchildren, this is the process you go through to get information. So it's refining the process that becomes the key thing, and that cannot be done outside of me. And for me to refine the process, it has to work on me first. I mean, I love that thing of the work working on me. I have to refine my level of depth, my level of thoroughness, my level of so it's the 20% is the process.
Wow. You are solving a real problem. You are tackling a real issue. As a physician, I will tell you there are far too many, when I was working in Nairobi, far too many people died who had stories that needed to be told before they go. They went with those stories. They went with unique knowledge, unique insights. There's a gentleman I met who was among the people who built the Care ICC. This guy's story should have been written in a book. And some of what I remember is just because I was curious to write down, whenever I met these people, I would write down the ingredients of their stories. So, Gladys, thank you for continuing to reign for us. That is what Nyambura does. Raining blessings on us. Even in my vernacular, it's the same thing. Nyambura still means the one who brings rain. So, and it's the rain of blessings, not the rain that brings havoc. Okay.
Amen.
All right, thank you so much. So we are at 39. We started a little bit late. So I'm going to have a quick fire with a couple of people. Quick fire with a couple of people. And so I'm going to spotlight a few people here and there. So just look at the screen and see whether you are among the blessed few who end up being highlighted. So that is Isabel, Frida. I need to get two more people. Mary Joy. Where is Mary Joy? Mary Joy. Yes, Mary Joy has been highlighted. Let's find. Come on, it keeps changing. Oh, and the one and only Shalene coming to you live from Nairobi. This is Shalene. Okay, all right. Vision traction. Okay, 20 years from today. 20 years from today. If you don't have noise in the background, just unmute your microphones. 20 years from today. 20 years from today, vision traction. So Charlene is unmuted. Mary Joy, Frida, Isabel. Unmute your microphones. Yeah, Isabel, you see, I've gotten used to saying your name. The problem is I'm surrounded by, I have 3 people who have a similar name like you, but I grew up knowing that they're called Isabella. So
Congratulations. Congratulations.
For me to say Isabel, that is real progress. Okay, let's start with Charlene. 20 years from today, Charlene. 20 years from today, What's the vision? What's the grandest vision?
20 years from today, my vision is divided. Emotionally, I want to be healed. I want to be someone who is slow to anger, quick to forgive. I want to be someone who does not take anything personally. I can move and do things despite people's comments and despite people's opinions. That's emotionally. Financially, I want to be a millionaire in dollars, such that I will be able to give back to the community, give back to the community in an aspect where something I would like to work towards nationwide, solving world hunger, especially in the northern part of Kenya. I'd like to have an organization that helps people solving the problem of world hunger, especially in the northern eastern part of Kenya. That is me. Spiritually, I want to have grown. I want to bear fruit in the kingdom. I want my relationship with God to be so deep, such that it's not a relationship where on Fridays is where I start remembering, I have to get back to God. I have to be right with God. No, I want my relationship with God to be an everyday thing, 24/7, 12 months of the year, every minute of the day, every hour of the day. That's me spiritually. Matters physical health. I want to be healthy. I want to look younger than my age. I want to be someone who has fallen in love with working out. It's part of my identity. It's not something I do, it's who I am. I love working out. I am in love with keeping my body healthy, eating right. Yeah, 20 years from now, I think that's the vision for me. Yes.
Why?
Why? I think the whole thing brings me together as a whole person. That's my definition of wholesomeness as an individual.
Why is that important to you?
It's important to me because I will be serving people, yet I will be at my best while serving people.
Why is it important for you to serve people at your best?
It's important for me to serve people at my best because I feel like it's my assignment to, or it's my duty to. And it also brings a sense of fulfillment if I make someone else's life better than it was. And if I bring as much to someone else, yeah.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how important is fulfillment to you?
I'd say a 10, pretty
Why?
solid.
Why is it important to you at the level of 10?
Fulfillment feels like fulfillment is a need of every day-to-day life, because if you're not fulfilled in your day-to-day life, it doesn't give you hope for tomorrow. It doesn't bring the excitement of living and going through life. So fulfillment is pretty solid and important.
Why is fulfillment important for Charlene Wangari coming to us live from Nairobi?
Fulfillment is important to me.
What would your life feel? What would your life feel like 50 years from today and you are not fulfilled?
Unhappy.
Why?
Happy. Fulfillment brings joy and contentment.
Why is joy and contentment important to you?
It's easier to live a life of joy than a life of misery and sadness.
I think that's probably just from my perception of you all the way from a momentum challenge. We've come to that point of fulfillment before. Today's the day you've stepped a little step further. I think joy, that's when I met you at the book launch. It's I think the people that know you, that is one thing that you radiate you radiate joy, but continue reflecting on this question and see whether maybe there might be something else deeper.
Okay.
Yeah, and so that means if I placed you in an environment where you're not experiencing joy, that's probably the deepest torture that I would have put you through.
Yes,
So,
yes,
yes. Mhm.
absolutely.
Yes. So thank you for bringing joy to us. You're always, every time you speak, you have a way, even before you speak, you actually smile first and then you start speaking. You bring us joy. Thank you. Charlene, let's move to Isabel.
Hi, Doc. I lost you a bit for a minute, a second.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now, Charlene?
Hello?
Is everyone else hearing me? Is it just
Yeah,
Charlene?
now I can hear you a bit.
Okay. No, that's all right. So I'm saying, I think just continue reflecting on this question. But I think today, joy
Yeah.
and joy specifically is the one thing that stands out to me. But it's you, if at 23, if I had the level of vision that you already have now, I don't know where I would be. So you are on an amazing trajectory. Thank you, Shalene.
Thank you, Doc.
Yeah. Isabel,
Thank you, Doctor.
20 years from today,
Doctor,
20 years from today.
20 years from today. When I first thought on it, I was just thinking, wow, 20 years. I just feel like 20 years is just, it is far. At the same time, I feel that it's just near. And I was just thinking, Isabel, 20, what are you going to do? First, I was scared, you know, because I was not able to fathom, I was not able to visualize what I may be wanting in 20 years. I was just thinking, will I be alive? Then I just thought, yes, I will, because when I look around, my relatives, they're still alive with their 17s, okay? Although my parents, they passed away so early. So I think that somehow is what certainly me a little bit. But then I start to realize, to think that, the way I live is different from my parents or for most of them. I have the privilege to know God, although I continue. I think that was a little bit late, but it's something that make all the difference. So I expect that in 20 years, I'll be a joyful person. I think that I will be someone that is influential. I'll be influential because I have that vision or dream to write a book. And this book that will change, first will transform me, will change my family, will change relatives, will change my clients, will change everybody that will be, everybody that, my clients and people that they acquaintance. So I think that I will be a kind of a guru of transforming lives. That's what I think. I think also that in 20 years, I will be in the place or in the point in which God will be using me so much for what He has called me. Yeah, has also financially, I need to grow because financially I need to reach a point where I can do what I want, I can go where I want, that I will be financially well.
All right,
Yeah,
so I'm going to thank you.
yeah,
Thank you.
that's what I thought. Yeah.
In the meantime, everyone else, please type your key takeaways in the chat box. So I want to narrow down and tell me of these ingredients, which is the single most important of the points that you've highlighted, which would be the single most important for you in 20 years?
To influence, to transform lives.
Transform lives. Why is that important to you?
Yes.
because I think that people pass through so many things and they don't see way out. I speak by my own experience, you know. I don't know if I can say that because you are African, because you are woman, you know, you are not allowed to go through challenge. Huh? Yeah, it's like you are not allowed.
I'm going to
You are
redirect
not allowed.
to you. I'm going to redirect you to you. I want to hear I. I want to hear I
Okay.
when you're speaking here. So why is it important to Isabel?
Okay, because I passed through many challenges.
Yeah.
And I didn't find a way out. Or I realized that people were seeing what I was struggling with, but no one was able to talk with me. At the same time, I think that somehow also I was not ready to listen or to hear from anybody. So if I can write a book, if I can share my story, I can touch lives.
Like you to continue. So thank you. That's a really deep reason. Continue reflecting on this. Unfortunately, we won't be able to finish the whole series. I just wanted to bring you on and hear about what you are reflecting on. It's clear the direction you want to go. So keep going. Keep going, Isabel. Let's hear from Frida and Mary Joy quickly. Good. All right. Mary Joy, unmute, please. Everyone else, could you please share your main reflections? Because after this will be done. Mary Joy, I want to hear from Mary Joy and Frida. Just want to hear very briefly. Frida is unmuted. Let's go with you, Frida. What is happening in 20 years for you?
In 20 years from now, my children will be so grown, and so I will have impacted their lives. I will have acquired main asset. I'm in insurance industry, and so I will have opened my own, which I intend to start as an agent, then grow it to an insurance company. Then I will have stable revenues. I will have great investments in terms of real estate, residential homes. I will have given so much in terms of financing the gospel of Christ Jesus. I will be so grown spiritually. I will be sitting in a board, one of the school's board meeting as a board member. I will be a counselor to marriages, and then I will be having good papers in my field of insurance, and I'll be so knowledgeable in God's word.
I love it. Which is the single most important among the ones you've mentioned?
Building a financial muscle. Yes.
What are two things that constitute your 20%? The things you can control today, that you can do today to get you where you want to go.
I'm working on my finances in terms of acquiring discipline, working with budget, saving as much as I can. Basically working on my finances, Dr.
That is the single one of the most important things that everybody on the call. That is one of the most important things that we cannot play any fiddle with. Finances is, if we are going to be impactful in future, finances is one of the single most important things that we have to actually be very intentional about. So Frida, you are headed on to a great trajectory. I can't wait to have you on our seat. You have already tasted it, so get ready. Get ready. Let's go to Mary Joy.
Good evening, Doc.
Hey.
Good morning, everyone.
Yes, Mary Joy, you will be our final one for the day. What is happening in 20 years?
In 20 years' time, I'll be 60, and I see a very vibrant granny.
Wow.
Yes, a granny serving God without worries of money, because I will have accumulated some good wealth.
How much
that
will you
is
have
enough for
accumulated?
me.
How much will you have accumulated?
I'll be almost crossing I'll be almost a billionaire. That is.
Well, give me a number. I don't understand the word almost. My vocabulary doesn't have that word. Got it at age.
I will not be having some worries of cash, because I'll be past like 50 million worth thereabout.
How much will you be worth?
50 million.
You'll be worth 50 million Kenyan shillings.
Yes.
So how much should you be worth, aim to be worth in 10 years?
In 10 years, I'll be praying there about 2015, 20 there, because now that is when I'll be trying to stabilize the businesses that I'm trying to
let's
say
navigate
20
in 10 years. In 5 years?
In 5 years, I'll be, because right now I'm in school doing fashion and design.
Yes.
I'll be the one designing my clothes. And at that time, I'll be trying to put on my first store, like my first store with a manufacturing side and the display side. And I'll be having like 20, like in 5 years time, I'll be having like 20 people working for me, both in the in the outlet and in the manufacturing side.
In 1 year, at the end of 1 year?
In 1 year's time, this is where I'm still perfecting the art of fashion. I'm trying to look for options that are better, like that can accumulate for me what I want, in terms of like I want to be one of the known brands. I'm strategizing on that right now. Like I want to be a known brand from the onset.
Do you have a brand name?
I'm sorry?
Do you have a brand name?
Yes, I have.
What's the brand name?
TL Impact.
TL Impact. What's the tagline of the brand?
T and L means my two daughters, Tracy and Rihanna.
Love it.
And then I want to be impactful to women, so they will know when you put on that dress, you will look impactful before people.
TL Impact. Okay. How many design concepts do you have that are Mary Joy's? They may not have been designed.
Currently, I have done three outfits, and people have really loved them. Like they're asking me where I bought them from.
You bought them from TL Impact, didn't you?
Yes.
Right. So you have already made progress. That vision starts to live. So I would like you to sit down and actually do the projections. More than 50% of your wealth will come in the last half. The hardest million you will earn is the first million.
Yes.
Right? But that's the most important million. All the other millions will be a replication of the first one.
Okay.
Yes, you don't have to wait. You don't have to wait to get your first clients. So if you have 3 designs,
Yes.
If you have 3 designs in 1 year, how many clients do you want to have sold this design to?
In 1 year?
Yes.
In 1 year's time?
How many people will own our outfits that you design?
Because currently I'm still perfecting, and I want whatever I release to the market to be as perfect as I want it to outlive the time. Maybe like in 1 year's time, I will have done 20 designs that are unique and are known to be TL.
So Mary Joy, the pathway to perfection is repetition.
Yes.
The people asking you where you bought the designs, they are happy with that design as it is. That's why they are, right? They are happy.
Yes.
The market is ready for what you have to offer today. The pathway to perfection is volume, it's repetition.
Yes.
If you want to become perfect, you need to sell more pieces and you have to start early.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. At least now I have a, yes, I have a guideline on that. Thank you so much.
Right. Thank you, ladies, for agreeing to sit here. Isabel, Frida, Mary Joy, and Charlene. And of course, once you see Shiro in her limousine, then you know we are coming close to the end. Coming close to the finish.